Hello everyone, this is Sony. This week we're going to learn about let's order a food. 음식을 주문하다 in Korean, 食べ物を注文する in Japanese. In this lesson, we're going to learn about how to order a food in a restaurant in Korean and Japanese. So, let's go to the restaurant. Part 1. Conversation. In conversation part, I'm going to read out the Korean, Japanese, and English phrases and explain the words of the phrases by this table. So let's get started. 어서 오십시오. 몇 분이지요? いらっしゃいませ. 何名様ですか? Welcome. How many people? How many people? In Korean, 몇 분이지요? In Japanese, 何名様ですか? I forgot to put the sama at here, but this kanji is read as a sama. Is this nan, mei, sama, and desu ka? Altogether, 何名様ですか? In here, 몇 분? In Korean, this means how many people. Next, we have welcome, which means 어서 오십시오 in Korean, いらっしゃいませ in Japanese. Waiter, waiter in Korean, waiter in Japanese. Waiter is all similar in three languages. 두 명이에요. 二人です. Two. Two in Korean is 2명. In Japanese, it's 二人. 명 and this kanji means people. I forgot to put the people at here. However, without the people, you can understand what it means, so there will be no problem with it. 이쪽으로 앉으십시오. こちらに座ってください. Please sit at here. At here means 이쪽으로, 여기. In Japanese, こちらに, ここに. Here means 이쪽 and 여기, and こちら and ここ in Japanese. At is 으로 and ni. So at is like a particle in here. Next we have sit, means 앉으십시오. In Korean, 座ってください. In Japanese. Menu is menu in Korean. Menu in Japanese. When you read the menu in Japanese, you have to sound the new sound long. 뭐가 맛있죠? 何が美味しいですか? What is delicious? What? In Korean, 뭐가? In Japanese, it's 何か. 뭐 and 何 means what. Next, we have delicious, which means 맛있죠 in Korean, 美味しいですか in Japanese. Delicious original form is a 맛있다. 맛있다, we remove the ta and put the jo to ask about something. In Japanese, they put the desuka at the end. 갈비를 추천합니다. 갈비をおすすめします. I would like to recommend galbi. Galbi is Korean pork rib. 갈비 in Korean. 가루비 in Japanese. In Japanese, when they want to say some foreign words, they use the katakana. Recommend. 추천합니다. In Korean, おすすめします in Japanese. In this phrase, recommend is the most important word. When you want to recommend something, you can say 추천해 주실 수 있나요? In Korean. In Japanese, おすすめお願いします in Japanese. Do you want to know how galbi look like? It actually looked like this. It's a Korean pork rib with a sweet sauce and roasted. We roast it and eat it. We roast it at the plate and eat it. It's really delicious when you eat this with the cabbage. It's like when we kind of wrap the meat into the cabbage and eat it like a taco. So we call it like Korean taco, but it's like a green taco. If you have a chance to visit the Korean barbecue store, I'd like to recommend to eat this one. 그럼 그걸 주세요. 자, それをください. We'll try that then. Then, in Korean, it's 그럼. In Japanese, 자. We will try that. In Korean, 그걸 주세요. In Japanese, それをください. In here, that means, in Korean, 그거. In Japanese, それを. And we will try is 주세요. And Japanese is kudasai. Altogether, it becomes we will try that then. 그럼 그걸 주세요. 자, それをください. 알겠습니다. 후식은 무엇으로 하시겠습니까? わかりました. デザートは何にしますか? Okay, what would you like for dessert? Okay, in Korean, 알겠습니다. In Japanese, わかりました. For dessert, in Korean, 후식은 in Japanese, デザートは후식 and 데자토 means dessert. For is 은 particle and 하 particle. What? In Korean, 무엇으로. In Japanese, 나니니. Would you like? In Korean, 하시겠습니까? 하시겠습니까? In Japanese, it's しますか? So put it together, what would you like? 무엇으로 하시겠습니까? 何にしますか? Last part of the conversation is 녹차로 주세요. お茶にします. Green tea, please. Green tea. In Korean, 녹차로. In Japanese, お茶に. Please. is 주세요. In Japanese, shimasu. Put together, green tea please. 녹차로 주세요. 오차니 shimasu. This kanji means tea and read as the cha. And here we have a culture tip of this lesson. First, I'm going to introduce about Korean barbecue and pajeon. They are Korean traditional food, and it's really common food of the Korean people. In Korean barbecue, we say 고기구이. 고기, 구이. 고기 means meat. 구이 means barbecue. So put it together, it becomes 고기구이. Next, we have 파전. 파전. 파전's pa means lake, and 전 is for pancake. First, we have 곱창, which is beef offal. Beef offal is like a Korean sausage, but it's really juicy and it's also chewy when you roast it. I'd like to recommend to eat this because it's really unique food of Korean, and Korean people really like to eat this alive. It's like a Korean sausage thing. And we have this one. We call it buchu. We eat the 곱창 with the buchu together and roast it, and we eat it together because it's really good combination and it really tastes good. So if you visit Korea, I'd like to try this one because the only place you can eat this is Korea. Next, we have 삼겹살, which is pork belly. In here, you guys can see the scissor over here? When we cut some meat in Korea, we use scissor because it's really fast and convenient. We grab meat by one pinch. We grab meat by one hand in this one and cut it with the scissor. Lastly, we have a Korean pancake pajeon. This is a pajeon, but with the seafood, which is so we call it like 해물 pajeon. 해물 means seafood, and pajeon is literally pajeon. Korean pancake is really thin compared to the American pancake. As an ingredient, we put leeks, squid, and buchu in the paste, and roasted we make the pajeon. The pajeon is really good when you eat this with the soy sauce. And of course, there's kimchi here. For Japan, second is the Japanese cuisine. We have okonomiyaki, which is Japanese pancake, and gyudan. This is like a meat. But this one is the unique cuisine of Japanese people. First, this is okonomiyaki, which is Japanese pancake. As an ingredient, they put cabbage, bacon, and katsuobushi in the paste, and put the mayonnaise and the soy sauce or teriyaki sauce at top. And when the Japanese people eat the okonomiyaki, they drink with the beer. When they make some okonomiyaki at the place, they use this one to flip it. So I think there's also some of the stores that you can also try to make one of the okonomiyaki in Japan. So, if you have chance to visit the okonomiyaki place in Japan and saw this one, then why don't you try make some okonomi yourself? Lastly, we have this one, gyuta, which is tongue of the cattle. In Japan, they eat the tongue of the cattle, roasting it. And this looks like a steak and is cut very pretty. And there's all of the edges. Actually, I've never tried this before, so I don't know how good it is. If I try a bit the last time, then I'll tell later about how was it. Or if you have experience of trying this gyutan at your life, then please leave the comments below. You can eat this at Sendai region. Sendai is located at the northeast of Japan. You can get there by Shinkansen from Tokyo. If you have a chance to visit Tokyo, I'd like to recommend this one, especially when you're in Sendai. Now here's the question of this week. What do you prefer to drink? Tea or coffee? Second, what is your unique food in your country? Leave the comments at the below after you finish watching the video. And this is the end of the lesson 2. Thank you so much everyone for watching my class this week. I'll see you guys later and have a nice day. 감사합니다 여러분. 다음에 또 만나요. ありがとうございます皆さん。それじゃまた会いましょう。